GBI posting this on their social media accounts. 4 dead, an additional 9 taken to various hospitals with injuries. The suspect is alive and in custody.
And a reminder, of course, that if you're getting information, you've got to get it from a trusted source. There's a lot of stuff flying around online and social media that really may not be accurate and most likely isn't accurate. And that in situations like this, and Tracy, you know all too well, the initial reports that come in the early hours of an active shooter type situation where there are victims, a lot of times those early reports end up not being correct. And so that's why we're trying to be very, very careful in what we report to you, make sure that we are giving you information that we know to be correct from trusted sources.